I believe that there's a town in, it's either one of the Scandinavian countries, I think it's Norway, or it's an island which is under the jurisdiction of France. And I think it's in Canada, I'm not sure. But it's basically this town where it's a very widely accepted fact that the human beings are sharing the space with polar bears. So people just have pistols on them.
Yep. There's a few towns like it. Yeah.
There's a few towns like this.
Churchill in Canada, the polar bears come into town. I don't know if you've ever seen, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Please.
There's this fascinating island that's owned by Russia. I don't remember the name of it. I could look it up. And it's an abandoned town, and the polar bears live in the town. They're in the buildings, they're sleeping like in the houses, and it's just, there's no people left. And they're just like, polar bears have moved into town. It's so cool.
For context, explain the dangers of a polar bear.
The best way to explain it is that there are 4 animals in the world that choose to hunt people. That's it. We think there's hundreds. There aren't. There are tigers, there are leopards, there are crocodiles, and there are polar bears. At the top of that list is polar bears. Nothing can stand up to a polar bear. Nothing. And polar bears have a sense of smell that, I'm going to butcher this, but it's something like 10,000 times greater than the best bloodhound dog. You know, they have strength that's unparalleled. They can stand 14 feet tall. They have knives for hands. You know, like they can open a car like it's a can of tuna. You know, they are unbelievable predators.
But the babies look cute.
So cute.
Right.
And they don't look menacing. When you see a polar bear, you're like, oh. And then you see one covered in blood eating a walrus, and you're like, oh my God, yeah.
I'd still want to just sit next to it and kind of give it a hug.
I would too.
Keep eating that
I would
walrus.
too. Every time I see him, I'm like, we can get a little bit closer. Yeah.
Have you gotten really close to a sedated polar bear? Or?
Sedated? No. I've been like maybe 150 feet from fully alive wild ones.
Yeah.
But in the summertime, when they're not very predatory because of the heat. So in the winter and the spring is when they eat a lot because it's cold and they need a lot of calories to sustain. In the midsummer, when it's not that hot, they're only eating like scavenged things and once every week or something. So I've gone in the summer and walked very close to them.
Would they still hunt human beings in the summer?
Oh, yeah.
So how do you prevent yourself from being killed?
You read the body language. You know, how is the animal reacting? Is it looking aggressive? Is it looking shy? You make yourself look big and dominant. You're with a group of people. You manage the wind so that they're not smelling you. You want them to smell you and be aware that you're there and not surprise them, but then not offer yourself up on a platter. So it's just a whole game of sort of understanding. And I'm very novice with polar bears. I've only seen them twice, but it's understanding how to do it.
What is their vibe in person?
Very chill. Very relaxed. I think of a polar bear like the big guy at the bar that's smiling and happy-go-lucky and easygoing until you piss him off, until you threaten him, until you say hi to his girlfriend. And then he's going to come down. Then he's going to, you know, then there's nothing you can do because he's this huge guy and he's going to kick your butt. You know, that's how I see a polar bear. They're easy, they're chill, they're playing with their babies, they're relaxed until they're not.
Have you seen that Leonardo DiCaprio film? I think it's called The Revenant.
The Revenant, yeah.
Where he gets attacked by a grizzly.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's really good. I talked to him about it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
About that particular scene?
About that scene, yeah.
I highly recommend that everyone go watch The Revenant.
Great
it's a
movie.
Great film.
Yeah.
It won Leo's first Oscar.
That's right, yeah.
But the way they've shown the grizzly bear attack in that film, that'll kind of help you understand how dangerous grizzlies are.
I think that's fair.
On a lot of American podcasts, they talk about grizzly bears.
Yeah.
But it's not a conversation we usually have in India.
Sure.
So I'd love for you to kind of give us a 101 on grizzlies and these grizzly attacks. And I'd love some personal experiences.
I'll tell you about them, but I'll tell you what, I think your sloth bears here are much scarier.
Oh, really?
Much scarier animal.
The Indian sloth bears?
The Indian sloth bear, I think, is a much scarier animal. And I'll tell you why. And I'm happy to go back to grizzlies, but the grizzly bear has no competitors. Maybe a pack of wolves wants to look at its kill. It postures up, the wolves run away. In India, a sloth bear, which is a fraction of the size of a grizzly bear, has to contend with tigers, it has to contend with leopards, and it has to be a badass. You know what I mean? Like if you're a sloth bear and you've got a tiger hunting you, you have to have the attitude. And I've seen these videos coming out of various parks and things in India where a female tiger tries to look at a tiger tries to look at a female sloth bear's cub. And the mother just comes trucking in there and she's like, bring it on, standing up to a tiger. I think they're amazing. Yeah, I really do.
Why are they that angry?
Because they got to fight with tigers. They got to contend with bigger, tougher animals. So you know the saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Sloth bears have that fight in the dog.
So if we take a sloth bear in a forest like Tadoba,
Yeah.
and a tiger in that same forest, and we keep checking their patrilineal or matrilineal lineage, like you go back down that genetic line, do you think that entire sloth bear line evolved to become aggressive? Because
Absolutely.
They had to survive alongside tigers?
Absolutely. No question.
Right?
Somewhere way back in the evolutionary chain, tigers and sloth bears were fighting each other, and they still are. And only the best and the strongest sloth bears survived. And only the most aggressive sloth bears survived. And then they bred more strongest, most aggressive, and more strongest, most aggressive. And so they've had to co-evolve in order to combat each other. And grizzlies don't have that. Grizzlies are phenomenal. I mean, in a grizzly bear versus a sloth bear, the grizzly bear would win just based on size and strength. But they don't have predators. They don't feel threatened very often. You know, they mostly just fight with each other. So they're the size of the dog in the fight. They don't have the fight in the dog.
So if we created an animal wrestling match between sloth bears and grizzlies, what would happen?
The grizzly would win against one sloth bear. I think if you put two together, the grizzly would go down. Yeah.
Wow.
I think. I don't have no way of knowing that, but yeah, I think sloth bears just have this unbelievable attitude. When I was up in the Himalayas, when we went to the red panda place, I remember, we'd walk out every morning early, beautiful misty mountains over the Himalayas, unbelievable high canopy looking at, for the kiwi berries where the red pandas eat. And one point in time, just got back from our morning walk. It was like 9-10 o'clock in the morning, went in for a cup of tea. And all of a sudden, these three guys who we'd never seen before just come sprinting in and slam the door shut and close the door. And they're like holding the door. I was like, what is going on? Because I've never seen the guys. They don't work at the little lodge we're at or anything. And I asked like somebody who spoke Hindi, I was like, what's happening? And they're like, oh, they just saw a sloth bear on the road. And I was like, get out of my way. I want to see the sloth bear. I was like trying to make them open the door. And they're like, no. Like they wouldn't let me open the door because they thought the sloth bear was right on the road. After like a minute, I got out to run and find the sloth bear and it was gone. I never saw it. But these guys were like, you're crazy. If you even see the sloth bear, it'll rip you to pieces. And I mean, some of that might just be lore, but that's how crazy they are. I've run right at grizzly bears to go see them. And it's
really?
like, yeah, which is probably more me being stupid than behaving correctly. But yeah.
Why did you want to see the sloth bear?
Phenomenal animal. Unbelievably beautiful creature. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to harass it. I was just sightseeing on this trip. I just wanted to get safely close enough to see a sloth bear in the wild.